Hey, this is Ben at Harrison. I'm here to introduce a cool new plugin we've got. It's called the XTDC Drum Character. This is an addition to our character bundle that you can purchase separately from Mixbus, and it is intended for people who are recording drums. If you've recorded some live drums or sample drums, any kind of drum sounds that you need to manipulate the sound to make them fit into the mix better. Typically that means increasing the sharpness of the attack or giving it more body, more oomph. So those are things that you can do with compressors, but this tool makes it really easy to see exactly what you're doing. It makes it easier to get your settings exactly like you want them to. So let me give you some examples. This is a snare drum sound. And the first thing you'll notice is a threshold control on the left side. So I'm going to adjust the threshold until I see a white dot blinking each time it triggers on the drum. And when it starts to trigger, you'll see that we've made a diagram at the bottom showing you a representation of the sound of that snare. On most of the snare hits, there's a noticeable peak at the beginning. That's the attack of the snare. So I'm going to set my attack time to apply to just that portion of the sound. And I'm going to set my tail time to adjust the release sound of that snare drum. And now what you'll notice is I have two different equalizers. I have a gold-colored equalizer for the attack sound, and I have a green-colored equalizer for the tail, or maybe you could call it the body of the sound. So now I can equalize the attack and the tail of that snare drum separately. Now that lets me do things like, let's say I'm listening to this sound and I just want to give it a punchier sound when the drum is struck. Or let's say that I want to emphasize the snare rattles in the decay portion, in the tail portion. I'm going to boost up the tail, the high end. So by equalizing only the decay time of the tail of the drum hit, I'm getting just the rattles. Now I can suck out some of the body in the tail so that it's leaner. Or I can cut out some of the attack so that the attack is duller. Or brighten up the attack. To give myself a sharper, spikier attack. Because these are just like the character EQs, each EQ has a peaking mode. I can adjust that with my wheel on my mouse. Or I can switch it to a shelving mode. So for each of the attack and the tail time, I have a 2-band EQ to cover the low and high end. So it's a very dramatic effect, as you can hear on this snare. You can do all kinds of cool tonal shapings. One of the really neat things about this is that you're not replacing the drum. You're just taking what's already there and making it sound better. So let's see, I think it's a kick track now. Yeah, here's a kick. And this is part of a live recording. And let's say we decided this kick drum is a little bit too dull. We notice that there's a very fast attack and then not much tail in the drum at all. There's not much body to it. So let's first brighten up the attack. Give ourselves more beat or head sound. And now we're going to add some body to the decay. And when you do that, you can build a chunkier, brighter, better hitting attack sound that you can put into your mix. Now there's a trim control on the bottom right corner, and I can use that to accommodate the fact that I've boosted the highs and lows, and now I can use my bypass to listen to the effect. So here we have another snare sound. Very, very tight snare. So I'm going to try to fatten it up with my fat snare preset. That just gives it more body. Why don't we brighten up the attack a little bit too? All right, here we have a tom with this is a floor tom with a really long decay time. And you can see that in the waveform below. It just goes on forever. So we want to just drop out some of the low end. I'll center this on about 150, 160 hertz. And we'll boost up the attack. Now here's another snare drum. Plenty of energy in the snare. Make sure I'm triggering just right. Yeah. And let's add a meteor attack to the snare.